Hello and welcome to another short A-level revision film. Today we're going to get to grips with cadences. So cadence in music is the term we use for a progression of chords that usually comes at the close of a phrase. Cadences use the most important chords of any key. So the most important chord of any key that you're in is chord 1, the tonic, the home chord. So in C major, chord 1 is C. The next most important chord is chord 5 because that's as far away as you can get from C until you start to return. So chords 5 to 1 is a perfect cadence. So here's Beethoven using a perfect cadence at the end of his string quartet, Opus 59, number 3. Beethoven used another important chord there. He used 4, 5, 1. So that's a classic perfect cadence. Now in Beethoven's piece, it's taken him a while to get to the home key. So before that cadence, we have a lot of movement in the home key. Let's take a listen. Beethoven is really pleased to be back in the home key, so he's showing off a bit. Classical composers do that a lot. Another classic perfect cadence is 1C, 5, 7, 1. So 1C means the home chord is inverted. In C major, that means that the bottom of the chord is now a G. And then the dominant, 5, 7, also has G at the bottom and sounds like this. That seventh means that we've got a very unresolved sound. So when it falls to chord 1, it sounds even more resolved. So 1C, 5, 7, 1 sounds like this. Here's Clara Schumann using a quick 1C, 5, 7, 1 at the end of her first subject theme. When composers add a seventh or higher onto their dominant chords, it's known as a dissonant extension. So here's a dominant chord. There's the 7th, 9th, 11th, 13th. These chords became really popular towards the end of the Romantic period and into the 20th century. And in fact, they're still used all the time in jazz. So Clara Schumann uses a dissonant extension to jazz up one of her cadences at bar 83. She uses a dominant minor 9th. Let's take a listen. So we're in B flat. That means the dominant is a chord of F. And to that she adds a 7th and a minor 9th. And that resolves home. Composers often flag up that a cadence is coming by introducing a pedal. A pedal is a long note that's usually placed at the bottom of the texture. So at bar 74, Clara Schumann asked the cello to play a long F, a long dominant note, which tells us that a cadence is coming. Let's take a listen. Sometimes composers speed up the harmonic rate towards a cadence, so that means the chords change quicker. In this next extract from Clara's trio, you'll hear the chords changing 1 per bar, and then it changes to 2 per bar as we near the end of the phrase and the cadence. And that lovely progression was a cycle of fifths. So a cycle of fifths is a progression that's been used from about Mozart onwards. And it's a really handy way of moving through keys. To find a cycle of fifths, let's start on C. Our next chord is going to be a fifth higher, which is G. Then a fifth higher, which is D. And if we keep going, steps later, we return back to where we began. You don't have to keep moving up, you can invert the chords, and you can stop at any point. So it's a really nice way of moving to unexpected key areas. I should also mention the second most important cadence, which is the Plagal cadence. This is chord 4 resolving to 1. Now this used to be known as the Amen cadence because it's used at the end of hymns. Sounds like this. It sounds like you're singing Amen, and that's a really useful way of remembering it and spotting it. Now, the reason I'm talking about it now is that Clara Schumann uses it on the end of her trio. So we've had a coda, and during the coda there's been a long tonic pedal hidden within the texture, and then her last cadence is Plagal. Now, in a piece like Clara's, this is an extremely unusual decision to end with a Plagal cadence, and for that reason, I think it's important that you remember it. Here it is.